The Eiffel Tower is being torn down, and I am the man the French government has chosen to sell it for scrap. I said that to 6 of the richest men in Paris. Every one of them believed me. By the time we're done here, so will you. I sold it. 7,000 tons of iron, the tallest thing in the world when they raised it, gone to the highest bidder. And it went so beautifully that a month later, I came back and I sold it again.
Victor Lustig, born 1890, Bohemia. Occupation, per his death certificate, apprentice salesman and counterfeiter.
Apprentice. I sold a country its own monument. Twice. I took $50,000 from Al Capone and he thanked me for it. And still, a man with a rubber stamp decided I never quite learned the trade. They tell me I wrote 10 commandments for the confidence man. Perhaps I did. But they all came down in the end to one small habit most men never have the stomach for. Patience. I never needed to be the cleverest man in a room. I only needed to sit still and listen while a frightened man told me, without ever meaning to, exactly how he wanted to be robbed. And then I'd hand him the pen, and he would thank me for the privilege. Most thieves want your wallet. I only ever wanted your trust. The wallet came along after, every time, like a dog trotting home. Before Paris, I carried a little machine. Mahogany, brass dials, a slot at each end. I told people it copied money. You fed it 1 bill at night, and by morning, there were 2. It did nothing, of course. I folded a few real notes inside, but a man watching 1 bill become 2 never asks how it works. He asks how many he can afford. I sold one to a sheriff down in Texas. Big, decent fellow. He kept whispering, "Is it real? Is it real money?" As though the whispering made it truer. Paid me, I want to say 3,000, something near it. When the box stopped working, he came all the way to Chicago furious, and I apologized like a gentleman and paid him back every dollar. The dollars were counterfeit. He never noticed. A satisfied customer. I caught myself in a shop window around then, and I stopped, just for a second, to admire the man who was about to sell Paris its own tower. A wiser man would have found that frightening. Because that spring, 1925, I was sitting in Paris with a newspaper, and the newspaper handed me a masterpiece. The Eiffel Tower, it said, was rusting. Too dear to paint, too costly to keep. The city didn't know what to do with the ugly iron thing. Most men read that and feel nothing. I read it and heard a cash register.
The Eiffel Tower, 7,000 tons of iron, the tallest thing anyone had ever built, and already the most photographed object in France.
So I had letterhead printed from the Ministry of Posts, signed myself Deputy Director General, and took the finest suite in the Hôtel de Crillon. A swindler can't afford the Crillon, and that is exactly why I stayed there. I made the lie expensive, so it would look like the truth. I brought 6 scrap dealers up to that suite, sat them down, and let my voice drop to almost nothing. Because the first thing a great lie does is make you lean in. Gentlemen, engineering faults, costs I'm not at liberty to discuss. The government has made a painful decision. The tower is to come down and be sold in confidence for scrap. You could hear them stop breathing. Greed is a very loud silence, if you know how to listen for it. I wasn't hunting the richest man in the room. I was hunting the hungriest. The one who wanted more than money to be respected. His name was André Poisson.
Monsieur le Directeur, I've handled state contracts before. Discretion is my speciality. You can trust me.
I could see that the moment you walked in, Monsieur Poisson. He'd handled nothing. He was small money among old families, and they made sure he felt it. He didn't want a tower. He wanted the men who looked down on him to finally look up.
The others? Old names, old money. They look at me like I don't belong at the table. But I move faster than any of them. Only tell me what you need.
And there it was. He'd handed me the knife. So I did the one thing no swindler is ever supposed to do. I didn't ask André Poisson for the money. I asked him for a bribe. You understand, a position like mine, all that responsibility and the salary. A man hopes for some small token of appreciation. Quietly.
Of course, Monsieur le Directeur. Of course.
And every last doubt left him. Because an honest official would never ask to be bribed. The bribe was my proof. I asked him to corrupt me, and it made me real.
Poisson paid for the Eiffel Tower, plus a private bribe to the official, roughly 70,000 francs. Lustig was on a train to Austria that night.
I didn't run frightened. I ran because the performance was over, and you always leave before the applause dies. His wife knew, Marie. She asked him how a government tears down the Eiffel Tower without a single newspaper printing a word. He told her not to embarrass him. She was the only clever person in the whole affair, and it changed nothing. He'd already paid. Worse, he'd paid a bribe. To go to the police, he'd have had to stand in a station and say out loud that he tried to buy a monument. A shamed man keeps your secret for you, for free. So I sat in Austria and waited for the scandal. Every French paper I could get. Nothing, not a line. And silence, to a man like me, is an invitation. If nobody knew, then Paris still didn't know its tower was for sale. So I went back and I sold it again. The same suite, the same letterhead, the same painful government secret. The second time is better, I'll tell you. The fear is gone. Only the art is left. But this time one of them wouldn't lean in. A careful grey man who set his glass down and said he'd like to telephone my office first, just to be certain. A hungry man will buy anything. A careful man ends you.
The second buyer went to the police. Lustig left France for America before they could arrest him.
I lost a country. I gained America. All that new money, and no one who'd learned to guard it. Paradise. And in Chicago, there was one man everybody was too frightened to touch. Al Capone. He ran the liquor, the gambling, the killing. A man who had people shot over far less than a lie. Which is exactly why I went to him. The safest mark alive is the one no one else would dare. I offered to double his money. $50,000, 2 months. He looked at me the way a wolf looks at a smaller wolf.
I know what you all count. A nice suit that takes money off soft people. I'm not soft.
No, Mr. Capone, you're not. Which is why I'm not here to take your money. I'm here to double it.
Capone gave Lustig $50,000 for a deal that did not exist. Lustig placed every bill in a safe deposit box and never touched it.
For 2 months, I did nothing. I remember the box smelled of other people's paper. Then I walked back in and set his $50,000 on the desk. Every note. I told him the deal had died and that it broke my heart to have failed him. And I watched the most feared man in America do the one thing I was counting on. He didn't see a failure. He saw an honest man.
You brought it all back. Every dollar. I had you figured for a thief. Here, take 5 for your trouble and your honesty.
$5,000 for doing nothing at all. That was always the plan. The honest man out-earns the thief because nobody ever thinks to check his pockets. And that was where a wiser man would have stopped. Honesty as his finest disguise. Instead, I decided to build a machine that would make me honest money. Real money. Forever. Everything until then had been a performance. a room, a mark, a single afternoon. But a performance ends, and I wanted something that never would. So I found a chemist who could match any ink in the world, and the pharmacist with the steady hands of an engraver. They cut plates so fine, a banker would hold one to the lamp and not blink.
For 5 years, Lustig's counterfeit notes moved through the United States. The Secret Service could not trace the source. Inside the agency, they simply called the bills Lustig money.
We printed it by the millions and let it out slow. A little everywhere, never a wave, only a tide. The most feared agency in America, chasing a river of false money, and they couldn't find the spring.
At its height, the operation was making close to $100,000 a month.
$100,000 a month. In the Depression, when an honest man was glad to clear $2,000 in a year, from nothing but ink and paper and nerve. It was the closest thing to that little box that ever truly existed. And I forgot the only thing the box had ever taught me. The box is empty. The magic was never real. A confidence man lives on one discipline. He never believes his own story. He knows the box is empty. He knows the tower was never for sale. But I'd fooled so many people and walked out of so many rooms that somewhere along the way I started to believe I couldn't be caught. I'd found the one mark I could never resist: myself. The man in the shop window had been right about me after all. I got greedy, I got careless, and I managed both over a woman. Her name was Billy May. I wasn't faithful to her, and she found out. She didn't cry, and she didn't scream. She picked up a telephone.
I know exactly who he is, and I know exactly what he does. And I am going to tell you all of it. He should have thought about that before he lied to me.
In May 1935, Billy May told federal agents where to find him. He was arrested in New York soon after.
Not a detective, not the Secret Service, not one clever policeman in 20 years. A woman with a telephone and a broken heart. I'd spent my whole life reading people. I never once read her, though I wasn't quite finished. The night before the trial, I complained of a fever, tore my bed sheets into a rope, old habits, climbed out a window into the middle of New York, bowed to a man on the street like a window cleaner, and walked away.
Lustig escaped the federal jail on a rope of knotted bedsheets. They recaptured him 27 days later in Pittsburgh.
27 days. The last 3 days I would ever have. When they took me the second time, I didn't talk. There are no words that argue you out of an ending you've earned. I pleaded guilty. 15 years, 5 more for the window, and they sent me to the one place built for men who can't stop running.
Alcatraz. He died there in 1947 of pneumonia. On the death certificate, a clerk wrote his occupation: apprentice salesman and counterfeiter.
Apprentice. They asked me if I have regrets. I sold people a dream, and I charged them for it. But every one of them wanted so badly to believe. I never put that wish inside them. I only found it, sitting there already, and gave it a price. And no, before you ask, I'm not telling you to try any of this. Take it as a warning. Dressed, of course, as a boast. They tell me the tower is still standing. Pity, I had a buyer.